I'm going to get stuck into the topic for today, and we're going to cover a question that I've been asked a lot over the years when I was trying to heal from chronic fatigue, hypothyroid, and fibromyalgia. Why am I not free of chronic illness yet? So this is a point that a lot of people come to. We work really hard, and yet it feels like nothing is happening when we're trying to heal. And I got to this point myself, and it's really frustrating. So I'm going to talk about 5 of the common reasons I see that interfere with people's ability to be free from chronic illness. And some of them I think are going to surprise you a little bit. So the first one is over-exercising. So when I had fatigue, I believed I could exercise my way out of how I was feeling. So I kept doing heavy weight training when the hypothyroid and fatigue started. And it was really one of the worst things that I could do, because it's really easy when you've got chronic fatigue or hypothyroid and you've put on a bit of weight, or perhaps when you get adrenal issues, your muscles can start to weaken a little bit, that you think that if you push that little bit harder, it's going to give you the energy. You might be able to build your muscles up, or it'll help you lose some weight. Unfortunately, we're told that exercise is healthy, but overexertion during health recovery really interferes with the healing process. And that is a big issue. So over-exercising can be a bit of a stressor because it uses the body's vital energy stores. And we need those energy stores for rest, for repair when we're trying to heal. There's plenty of things that go on out of plain sight that are happening within the body that it needs those stores for. So gentle exercise when you're trying to heal is your friend, because it's great for stress release. But actually pushing yourself and trying to do the things that you could do before you became chronically ill, it's really going to backfire and delay your recovery quite considerably. So how much exercise should you do, and what should you do? Well, really, it'll depend on your condition. So for fatigue, I got a graded exercise program so that I could keep some muscle mass during times of lots of bed rest, lots of lying down. That changed depending on what was going on with my condition. And so it might be that you start with, yes, Mona, it is going to be saved. It'll be on the replay. It is that you start with some exercise, and then things might change and you might have to adjust a little bit. But if you keep it gentle, that's really the thing that's going to help you. Now, another thing that can happen with exercise, of course, is we've got beliefs about exercise, our physical body, and our self-worth that can really push us to over-exercise. And that was certainly a problem that was behind my inability to exercise in a gentle and restorative way. So I would go through a lot of cycles of over-exercising, trying to rest because I would fatigue, and then it was a cycle. So if you think that's your issue, then get some help from me, maybe a one-to-one basis, because I can really help you to break down those beliefs, because this is something that could be really holding you back. And I've seen it time and time again, people running marathons and jogging every day when they've got chronic fatigue. It's not good. So another thing that could be holding you back and stopping you recovering is stress and emotional health. Now, I talk about this a lot on this channel, and that's because it's so important. So a 2007 survey by the American Psychological Association, wow, what I'd pay to be back in 2007. I mean, the world was a lot more chilled then. But what they found was that 77% of Americans in a given month reported experiencing physical and emotional symptoms of stress just in the month of that survey. And that's not really a small group of people, is it? It's a much bigger group in 2023, I would guess, because of everything that we've all collectively gone through. So I would say that a lot of the world is chronically stressed now, and we know that people's anxiety levels are going up. So if you've got chronic illness and you're not healing, you will have some unresolved chronic stress. It's just they go part and parcel together. And we can often think that we're managing stress well using tools like mindfulness and meditation. And those are fantastic tools, but they take practice, and they're also things that can take quite a bit of time. And they take a little bit of time to master. And I have worked with people who have really struggled using meditation and mindfulness, and I know I definitely did. So really, it's important, if you're trying to heal, to look at your stress levels. It's not something that you really postpone dealing with, because we can often get stuck in the thinking that we need to get our diet and our supplements sorted out first before we can do anything else. But actually, if you're stressed, that's causing inflammation in your body. It's weakening your immune system. So a lot of those things, as I knew because I did it for 20 years, I was throwing my money down the toilet because I wasn't looking at getting that foundation right. So stress can also contribute to anxiety and depression, as you know, and stop us being able to stay on protocols, but also to sleep, which is probably the holy grail of healing. If you're not sleeping, it's difficult for your body to do the repair that it needs to do. So really, you need tools that can help you manage day-to-day stress. You need tools that can get you to the source of your stress, and tools to promote calm in your body and start to reset your nervous system. Those are really important. And I've got a really amazing toolkit that I'll share with you at the end of this live. So trauma is really something that can have a huge impact on our ability to heal. And it's a crazy thing to think that things that happened in the past could be troubling us now, but they really do. An interesting thing that a lot of people don't know is there are certain conditions which have a strong relationship with post-traumatic stress disorder. One of them is fibromyalgia, and the other one is urinary tract infections, chronic ones. They can often come on, and urinary urgency issues can often come on during post-traumatic stress. So if you have any of those issues, life events and traumas, particularly triggers before the issue started, are definitely something that you need to look at. So life events also really shape who we feel we are and how we see the world, how we respond to stress, and how we see other people. And a couple of really key behavioral characteristics that are very well known to be associated with certain types of chronic illness are perfectionist tendencies and people pleasing. These are very common characteristics that I've seen in many of the people I've worked with. They're also something that I lived and embodied myself for a long time. And so whilst they make us really lovely, agreeable people to be around, and we can be under a lot of pressure to keep everyone else feeling good, and we forget about ourselves, and it makes us super anxious a lot of the time. So workaholics, we worry about mistakes that we've made. And so during chronic illness, perfectionism and people pleasing don't really leave much space for us to rest, to relax, and to have our needs met. So it's really important that you need to be able to break these down so that you can make space for yourself. So if you find that you're having some unhelpful behaviors such as overwork or addictions, and these are slowing your recovery, this is something, again, I can help you with. So another thing that people struggle with when they're trying to recover from chronic illness is undereating. Now, it can be really easy when we change our diets and not do and do a new eating plan to not do it properly. And so we don't eat enough greens, for example. If we're eating a whole foods plant-based diet, we can miss a lot of minerals like iron. We can also feel full. And I've seen people who are following medical medium, they just eat fruit. Well, fruit's great, but you need the minerals as well. And that's where lots of greens come in. So the other thing is you might be taking lots of supplements, but you're not eating enough calories. And we can't get all our nutrients from supplements. So the body needs calories and it needs energy in order to do repair. So if you don't eat enough, you're reducing the amount of energy that you've got available to repair, because even just thinking takes up a lot of our energy. So under eating can cause stress on the body. It can be really hard on the adrenal glands. And those are the little guys that are under a lot of pressure by the time chronic illness starts, because of their role in hormone production and being part of the stress response. So anything you can do to support your adrenals is really important. And the easiest thing you can do is eat enough. So one of the things that you can do if you think you might be under eating, and it's pretty easy to work it out, is if you haven't tracked your food and you've just started a new protocol, I always recommend that people spend a week in Chronometer. I can put the link underneath this video after I've finished the live, and you can go and find it. But it was something that was a very helpful tool for me when I first started changing my diet around, particularly when I went whole foods vegan. I tracked my food for 1 week, just 1 week, no longer than that. I put every single amount in that I'm eating. I weigh everything. And then I look at whether I'm hitting the nutrients or not. And it's important to do this because it makes sure that you get enough calories, but also that you're eating enough variety of nutrient-rich foods to really make the difference, because you need all that. And just track it long enough until you know, and that's usually about a week, because we don't want to get obsessed with this. I'm speaking to all you perfectionists out there from a perfectionist. We can get so into this and think it's the most important thing. Cut yourself some slack. Once you've done it once, you'll know exactly how much you need to eat and you can run with that. Just take the pressure. Less is more. So did you know that harmful beliefs and harmful belief patterns are that powerful that they can change our gene expression and the function of our immune system? I know it's startling, really. So our behavior is also really strongly determined by our beliefs. So when we're dealing with illness, our beliefs about healing, what we're doing, they can really stop us showing up for ourselves and or giving us a lot of fear, getting us stuck in a lot of fear. So the beliefs that could be sabotaging your healing, your attempts to heal, could be your belief about your ability to heal. And this is the most common one that clients turn up with. This was my biggest Achilles heel, this one. And it's one of those beliefs that can really send us into what the psychologists call learned helplessness, where we lose hope, we lose trust, we lose belief. And as you can see, belief changes our immune system, it changes our gene expression. So we don't want to get into these types of beliefs. And so I want to challenge you to remember, if you don't feel like you can heal, I want you to remember that if you go on social media, there are people who've healed from just about every illness that there is, including stage 4 cancer. And I'm sitting here talking to you, and I've healed from chronic fatigue, which they tell you has a low recovery rate, fibromyalgia. Again, it's just a belief. It's not the truth. So the other thing that we can have beliefs about that are really harmful is about the path of the condition. And this is a great one. And it's often determined by what we've been told, what we've read in groups. And as I've just mentioned, there are people who've healed from just about every chronic illness there is. The problem when we start living in and investing our energy in a path that is not a foregone conclusion is we're discounting more positive possibilities for ourselves. So you can start visualizing on kind of autopilot what your life's going to look like with fibromyalgia that doesn't get better or gets worse. I mean, I was told that my Ehlers-Danlos loss would make me stiffer and less flexible and in more pain as I got older, and that is not the case. I actually am as flexible as I was 20 years ago, and I have less pain. So we don't want to get into that sort of negative unconscious visualization of the path. So beliefs, I think you'll agree, are really important for us to get underneath. So in my new group program, Power to Heal, which is kicking off on the 28th of January, I'm going to be teaching people how to use effective tools that work quickly, don't take a lot of effort, that help with stress management, help move these emotional blocks, help the nervous system to reset, to give the body the opportunity to heal. So if you don't want stress, trauma, or beliefs to be the thing that's keeping you stuck, and you don't want to do this on your own, then check out the program outline. I've put the link in the description, because this program has been the distillation of all my knowledge from my own healing journey, as well as what all of the work I've done with clients. And it's designed to help people who are stuck to get back on track. Because when I was doing emotional healing by myself, it took me 18 months to do the sorts of shifts that I can make happen for clients in 2 or 3 months. It's 12 weeks. It's an intimate group program. So these are small groups. These aren't big groups. It's not a video course. It is live with me, working through all of the things that come generally with chronic illness from an emotional perspective. And it's got options for just the group, but there are different options to include one-to-one as well. So next week's live, we're going to do a video on what I can do to speed up my recovery. And it's going to be the same time, same day next week. And if you're watching after the live stream, then I've created a playlist for them. And guys, honestly, my heart is full. I could burst into tears at the moment, but I really am so grateful for you watching this, and I will see you on the next live. Thank you. Bye-bye.